moving so fast. We're rolling. Thank you, Zoom.
Thank you for asking me to be on. Yeah, I saw your YouTube. I was like, this is so dope. Like
You.
super cool. Yeah. So I'm really glad to be on here and talking about two very important things dear to my heart, of course, cannabis and mental health. Let me introduce myself a bit. My name is Samantha Martins. I am a Puerto Rican Dominican from the Bronx. And I'm a longtime yoga student and yoga teacher, meditation teacher, wellness educator. I've done, different events, both, on the yoga side, but also just wellness in general, using all these different tools, stress release tools, such as meditation and what have you, for self-care and stress management and coping and things of that nature. Also singer-songwriter, have my degrees in psychology and music, and also just mental health and cannabis advocacy. Cannabis is a big part of my life and also my teaching. I do a lot of CBD yoga events, which are a really big thing. But the way that I like to structure it, and we talked about this, Dani, was like knowledge is power, right? So rather than it just being like, okay, we're all just gonna like go, get high or like consume cannabis in one form or another, and that's it. It's like really providing some education and content. It's such a big thing now. I feel like now more than ever, because I feel like we do have more access to information, and so many of us now, who are, just using our voices and really like claiming space in cannabis. I think it's super important to like provide, educational content, because I really do believe knowledge is power. At least with what I'm doing, with what you're doing, with so many people are doing, is like, I just want to give people information. So I was a really late bloomer. I was a late bloomer with cannabis. I didn't start consuming until sometime around like 22, 23, 24, like around that time. I'm 28 now. And I had all these opportunities that I could have like smoked, but I was so afraid of what would happen to me if I did, or blah, blah, blah. Like I had no clue what this did. All I heard was it was bad.
Yeah.
Flash forward, right? I get to, whatever it was, like 22, 23. And I've struggled with depression and anxiety since childhood. And I didn't really officially like do anything about it until I got to college, where I started seeing a counselor. And then also like as a psychology student, right? I started like, oh, wait, like this is actually a thing. Like this is real. So at the time I had, the little raw roller to just make it easy to make like the cigarette rolls, basically. Now I'm like an expert, like joint roller. But at the time I was like, okay, just
progression.
Let's get it. Hey, exactly. Like years later. Yeah, and I did. And it felt so freaking amazing, Dani. The visualization, the analogy I like to use, like, the lights where you can like the dimmers, right? Where you can like turn it, like you can turn it all the way bright and then turn it all the way down. That's literally how I felt. It was like taking this light and just dimming it.
Yeah.
I don't even know, thinking back, like what it was, other than just the fear that was ingrained in me. Flash forward years later, I was like, oh my God, like this literally, like it changed my life. And it changes lives. And I still battle with severe depression. I still battle, with the anxiety. And, I went back to therapy for it. Like, that's one of my tools. And I love that we're having this conversation, because there's two stigmas here that we're covering, right? And it's the mental health stigma, and it's the cannabis stigma.
Yeah.
Because even the first time I told my parents that I was teaching a CBD yoga class, okay? My dad was like, what? And I was like, Dad, like, it doesn't get you high. Like it gives you the same benefits of the plant. Even though like, even if we were like smoking, getting high, I'm just like, who gives a shit, right? Like
sometimes the plant just scares people.
That's what I'm saying.
That propaganda and this history.
Yeah. It's the plant, it's the history, it's the stigma. I mean, obviously there's not like a bucket load of research because of the regulations that are in place that prohibit the research. But there's enough out there where it's like, come on, like you can't read all this stuff and still be like, oh no, it's like,
exactly.
You're gonna be like, oh wait a minute.
Exactly.
Like, again, it's like at this point, like I don't even care what friends, family, whoever, if you're gonna judge something without actually educating yourself on it, you can still not roll with it, right? Like
where in the equation do you need to prohibit other people who need it?
Right, it's like if some people are like, oh, like I want a glass of wine at the end of the day, like, okay, that's cool. What I'm really learning now is just like to really stand my ground and like speak my truth and live my truth and like not feel guilty for something that has helped me, right? Because it's like you can smoke a joint, right, to manage your anxiety, or pop a pill. And again, I don't mean for everybody watching, like I'm not down on that. I'm not saying that that's a lesser choice or anything. I'm saying there are choices. People should have choices. And if they want alternative treatments, alternative therapies, they should have access to that as well.
I wish these other conversations that I had the audio, because we talked about how my two friends, they're diagnosed with bipolar disorder. They had this weird journey with cannabis that you start using from a weird place, you know, a place of maybe peer pressure or curiosity, and then it spiraled into something bad, and then they had to remember that everything is up here first. You got to take care of where your mind's at, and then you can use cannabis as a tool.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I think that is an important part, because I think what sometimes turns other people off is seeing people maybe like struggle with how they use. You know, for example, I went in with this intention of like, okay, this is what I'm using for. Once things start to create disruption or disorder, right? Because that's really what a disorder is. It disrupts order in your life. Like you're not able to carry through, right? And that goes with mental health, with everything. Even the whole concept of like lazy stone, like people think like, oh, you smoke, you get lazy. And it's like, no, the weed doesn't make you lazy. If you have that innate like kind of tendency, that's on you. Like if you're lazy and you're on the couch all day, that's because you're freaking lazy on the couch all day, because you're not squeezing out the iota of motivation to get your ass and like do something. It has nothing to do with the weed. And you're just compounding what's already existing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
If you're getting to the point where now you're like missing your classes, or you forget to pick up your kid from school, or what, like that's when shit becomes a problem. You know what I'm saying?
Once this becomes a dysfunction.
Exactly. Sometimes, especially when you feel like in that space and with the anxiety or overwhelm, you're like, oh my God, like I just want to smoke a joint. Right. But then I couldn't, right? Because I didn't want to use that as a crutch just through my darkness, because it's such a beautiful plant that like has so many benefits. And I'm just, like I'm just trying to respect the plant and respect Mother Earth and appreciate what it does for me and be part of this movement of destigmatization. Like whether you're a mother or a grandmother or, you know, a student, creator, like it can benefit so many people. That's the big part of this too, is like the conscious consumption, conscious consumerism, right? Like the conscious realization, like there's so many layers to this, Dani.
There has to be critical thinking in cannabis.
No.
You have to be able to sit down and say, what am I using this for? What am I consuming this for? Am I consuming this to escape into this hole of where I'm not going to function and I'm not going to create and I'm not going to progress? I'm just going to stay stagnant with this plant. Or am I going to use it as a tool to progress whatever I want and get where I want to be and, you know, feel fulfilled within myself? And that's it.
Right, with any substance, like it's just be mindful, because things can go way left.
Yes.
Really, things can go super left, and the energy that you put into stuff, whatever energy you put into it, that shit's gonna get magnified.
When you get into like the regulated cannabis industry, you have little treats or little capsules or tinctures where, you know, your milligrams, and you're able to actually, you know, document and figure out your body, not just, oh yeah, I'm gonna eat this whole edible, or I'm gonna smoke this joint and I'm gonna like, I'm dosing myself with cannabis. Woo! Your mindset is an important part, but also with cannabis, and I'm just talking about cannabis, you have a cannabinoid system, and
endocannabinoid system,
different. You need to be aware of if you can function.
And nothing is one size fits all. And that's why you have to like mindfully like troubleshoot that. Depressive disorders are illnesses. Anxiety disorders are illnesses. Like why can't I, in lieu of antidepressants or anti-anxiety meds, get, you know, legal access to cannabis? It's wild that like there's still so much more of a fight. The shit that we see right now, man, it's like, okay. So it's like, as much as we want to hope and think that things are different or it's like, but are they really?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Whatever your way of creating that elevation for your community, and like in doing that, like it just kind of ripples out. Right? It's like, be the change you wish to see in the world. Like it's really like that. You either do or you don't, right? Like you either fight or you don't, and that's fine, right? Whatever your little fight is matters, right? If it's like your own little personal fight just to get up and get through the day, and like you're doing that, and you're like choosing to get up and brush your teeth and like eat because you haven't done that the last 3 days. There's the macro stuff, but it's like really like the little stuff, like we have to reevaluate and, you know, if able, like use our voices on our platform. I'm on Instagram as Love Music Yoga, that's one word. My website, it's www.love-wellness.com, and you can see like all the stuff I do with my yoga, essential oils, cannabis, my blog, events that'll be coming up for June, lots of fun stuff for Pride Month. Yeah.
We had a very fruitful conversation.
Yes, I love these.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again for creating this platform for me to share. I really love talking about this. It's hard for me to talk about stuff like this for a while. When you're also reflecting on that stuff, like it can be pretty painful, but you know, I also believe that there's healing in that as well. Once I started talking more and sharing, there's help.
This is from anywhere, but if you text home to 711 and you're having a crisis, you can talk to them and it's free. You don't necessarily need to be in crisis, because they'll ask you, are you in crisis? And if you say no, I just need to talk something through, then they'll talk with you. It's just they send the right people to deal with crisis situation. But please, use that. Please use all the tools you can. Please. And remember, sometimes cannabis won't always be a tool. Sometimes you just have to know yourself. Thank you, Sam, for coming on. Happy Women in Cannabis Week. And I'm
mental health, right? I feel like we're like taking mental health month with a bang.
all right.